So hey there everyone, and welcome to the channel. As always, thanks for stopping by and hanging out for a few. My name is Rich, and today I'm doing something really different. You're probably seeing this wacky screen here. Yesterday we went out and did a flight around a new build location that's in 0 feet AGL. It's close to the KPRC airport. And so we went out to do a little testing. We're not fully set up for this one, so I've done some in-house pre-planning. And so we went out yesterday. We had authorization to fly the location, and we did some capturing. So this is not my standard workflow. I'm going to go ahead and minimize OBS here because I wanted you to see things that are up. So today's really different. I don't care about the clock today. Usually I am trying to, whittle things down for you. And I'm not gonna edit this one at all. This is what we do when we get back from our location. So I've got a folder right here, and this is where the recording that you're watching right now is actually being saved to. And then I've got a folder up here from offloading the drone yesterday from the job location. So first off, this is a new job. This is a new client. They contacted us several weeks ago, and they're going to be doing new construction over near the Granite Dells and KPRC, the airport. So what we're looking at here right now is Litchi. So I did some pre-planning after the client got in touch with me, checked out the county parcels, and then I set up a shapefile with QGIS, uploaded the shapefile to Litchi, and so this is from the shapefile. So I set this up for myself. We're not flying over 100 feet above ground level. Actually, everything that I set up is at 70 feet above ground level. We have authorization for up to 100, but I think we can work this one out with just 70 feet above ground level for what the client's asking for. So I did some pre-planning of that, and that was actually done here in the office. So I got to test it out yesterday, and you'll see that in a couple. Let's go ahead and close this. The next thing, though, one of the things that I learned yesterday in this test flight was that I had this idea of maybe doing an orbit for doing some modeling. The client would like orthomosaic before and afters. Well, we're kind of tight on our ground level. So we're going to be taking a lot more pictures if we're going to use something like Map Pilot Pro or Ground Station Pro or anything else. So I said to myself, hey, let's do an orbit. Let's do an orbit around, whoops, okay. I hope I didn't just break anything by clicking that, and we'll have to see afterward. Like I said, no net here. I'm treating this kind of like a live stream. But let's go back to this one right here. There we go. And so one of my thoughts was doing this flight around the center point, that maybe I could have Litchi kick off a photo every 15 or 20 feet. So I did that in testing. That didn't come out so good. But as you're going to see, the location is going to be hard to model right now. There's not much to refer from. It's an open fieldy kind of an area. So until we start getting some things on the ground, we're probably not going to be seeing the greatest orthos coming out of this. So just to test things out, also in the office, I did a setup, and once again, I used the shapefile, imported the shapefile into MapPilot Pro. And so I was just feeling out some ideas here for myself. So this property is 2 acres. And if I were to fly this flight pattern, it's going to be 0.78 miles. Path speed recommended by MapPilot Pro for the moment is 6.4 miles per hour. That can change in the field. MapPilot Pro might say that it needs to adjust the speed. So, and it's telling me 114 batteries here, or 114 images, 114 batteries, yeah. So we got 114 images potential, and we're going to be doing one more test flight because this particular construction project is getting pushed out a little bit due to some permits. So we've got some time. Let me close that one and we'll open up the next one here. So I'm just showing you this because this is kind of what I'm referencing for the flight we did yesterday. So in this one, I had this set for 80 feet above ground level. So we're still within our allowable flight area, thanks to our Lance request. So my thought was 79 feet above ground level. What are we looking at here? That 114 images, and it's telling me 7 minutes. if it adjusts speed, because Map Pilot Pro is prone to do that based on the lighting of the area when you start up. The duration right now is 7 minutes. Map Pilot Pro might slow this down a lot because it's much closer to the ground. And if it were to slow it down a lot, this could be a full battery just to get this. But in our next test flight, that's going to be the next thing that I actually check out. So once again, like I said, you're just following through with me today. That's what I'm doing with this one. So, all right, we've got that set. I'm going to minimize this folder because we don't need to look at it anymore. And that's where the recording is going. So we're going to try and not break the recording. And just as a double check, I'm going to open this up and just check OBS. Yeah, so it says I'm still recording. So hopefully this won't be in vain. So we went out and we used that Litchi flight path. First, let me back this up. Before using the Litchi flight path, we got to the location ahead of time. I blocked out 2 hours with my Lance request. And the big thing was I wanted to see that the unlock code from DJI's FlySafe worked. So that's why I gave myself a little bit of extra time. I always like to double check this before we're going to do anything else to make sure when we're in 0 AGL and we've got an authorization that we're flying only where we should be flying. So we checked that out first, made sure that we had the appropriate code, that it was synced, and then we did some flights with the Go4 app. So the first set of stuff that we have in here, so this is Philip K 5184 Ironstone. This is not my normal full workflow. This is just my pre-planning. So if you've seen my workflow explanation, or if you checked out my workflow class, this is in the flight planning section. So both in the office and then out on the ground, getting ourselves pre-planned so that when we come out to do follow-ups, we're going to be able to execute these things real quick and real easy. So the first block of photos that I took was with the Go4 app. So let's just open this first one. And this is going to give you guys an idea. So the other thing that I was gauging here for myself was, modeling. What are we doing here? Well, this is kind of this open grassy field. So if you're flying over at 80 feet above ground level and you've got your gimbal pointed straight down, it's not going to match up on a lot of stuff. There are some flag posts out here, of course, but if we're flying this really low and we're taking photo, what's it matching up with? So when we're trying to build these 2D and 3D models, you got to have overlap and things need to line up nice. If it's just a bunch of scrubby brush, stuff comes out bad. And I say that because I tested an orbit yesterday and boy, did it come out bad. So we'll see that too. So once I'm done with all this and going through this, I'm actually going to be putting this together in a small presentation for the client as well. And I think I'll bring you along with that as well if you're interested. This could turn into a multi-hour video. Let's just open the second one. Actually, let's just open a bunch in preview. I'm not opening the DNGs right now. We're not looking to do any editing for the moment, but I just want to take a look at some of the JPEGs. So I flew around the area that I was allowed to from my Lance request, just checking things out and seeing where the drone would say to me, hey, you can't go any further. So it did limit my flight to 100 feet above ground. We flew it up and it stopped us right at the 100 feet above ground level. And let's just grab a couple more of these. Once again, this is just an office day. If I wasn't talking to you, I'd be doing the same thing. So let's do an open with real quick here and let's fire a preview. So preview, give me, preview didn't pop that up. Let's try that again. Open with preview. There we go. Okay. So it made 2 panels here. I just want to take a look at these. So this is us checking out the location. We're also watching out flights because there's a lot of planes going in and out of the area. And we just wanted to get an overall feel before we started using an autonomous tool like Litchi while we're working this close to the airport. So you can see all the new houses going up in the area off in the distance and to the north of us. So to my right, there's even more going on. But we're just taking a look, backing this up a little ways to get a feel for the property. Basically, where this little fence is right here, coming back to the helipad, here's one of the markers. There's another marker down here and markers heading back. But there's our 2 acres. And that little fence area right there is a good location for me to refer to because that's going over to the Peavine Trail, so recreational trail there. Let's go ahead and arrow through just a couple more of these. So I took a bunch of shots because you know what? We can. Um, we don't run out of drive space while we're out there, or SSD space, I should say. So I was just flying across this, and like I said, as you can see, this is kind of an open fieldy thing going on here with a lot of scrub, goat heads. And as I was walking around, I reminded myself that we do have snakes out here, so keeping my eyes open for that. But it was a cold morning, so I don't think any snakes were hanging out. There's actually a pathway right onto the Peavine Trail here. So this is kind of the view that the property owner is going to be getting. We then turn the drone facing back toward the east, so as you can see, we're shooting into the sun now. Not a great look, but I wanted to get some shots back also, not only for my own reference, but for the client as well. So I'm going to put some of these together for them just so that they've got kind of that bird's eye view. Let's close that first one and let's take a look at the second one. So we did pop this up, and on this one, this was 100 feet above ground. Actually, it was like 95 feet above ground. And I was just making sure it wouldn't let me go higher, which it wouldn't. So that's fantastic. And then just bringing the drone back over to us to get a general feel, the location itself. So this is going to be an easy enough location. The biggest thing that we have to work around is just that we're in controlled airspace and that we had to get our authorization. So there we go. So there's a couple of the images. So I just wanted to shoot around there. And once I was done shooting around, I still used the Go4 app here for my first video test flight because I just wanted to get an overall feel. And also, we're going to be passing this along to the client so that they can see, hey, yeah. So at this point on this one, we were at 70 feet above ground level. And let's just take a look at this because you're going to see, so that no editing's happened yet. I'll be doing the editing later. But so just backing the drone away, so we're looking off toward the west, toward Granite Mountain. There was the Peavine Trail. Now we're coming into the property. So there's one of my identifiers right there, that little gate area in the fence. And as we're passing over these, I'm noticing some of the little flags out here. You might not be noticing those. That's okay. But I just wanted to, bring the drone back to us into our area. Jody's giving the drone a look right there. And then I'm just turning the drone, looking at some of the other houses that are being built to the north as well. So these communities have sprung up very quickly. So we're just flying along. I'm actually flying along close to the property boundaries. So, I know where those are at. Just bringing it back to the Peavine again. And then we just back it out one more time. Once again, so this isn't all going into the client. Some of this can be some of my B-roll as well. But I wanted to take a look through this today, assemble something simple on the See My Build website for the client. That way they've got a place to go right back to because they just wanted an overall view. Once again, in talking to them, they're still waiting on some permitting. And once that permitting is done, then they'll be ready to get underway. Now, this second video that we have here, this video I used Litchi. So I actually used that Litchi waypoint mission. So let's go back down here and double click this guy. So I'm now going to have the drone follow this path that I created in the office. And the drone's going to be looking to almost the center point. There's going to be a little bit of gimbal down tilt there because I said, set it to, call it 20 feet above ground is where we're shooting down to. And if I'm going to do some orbits, I think I'm going to be actually probably dropping the point of interest here probably down to 10 feet instead of 20. We'll see. I'm going to be doing a little more testing on Sunday, so we'll know a little bit more then. So here we go. This is Litchi controlling, so let's just pull this up here. And let me just drag that down for you. All right, so it's just getting ready to lift off, and I just hit the play button on the Litchi app, and the play button tells it to go ahead and play that waypoint mission. So we're going over to the northeastern side here. It's going to turn itself in just a moment. But I just wanted to get a feel for if we were to use Litchi with this kind of orbit. One other thing you should note, there's a little bit of stuttering in the gimbal changes. Now I'm using my older Mavic 2 Pro, and I have experienced some weirdness with the gimbal. So this is not the drone that we're going to be using when we're actually applying all this. We're going to be using a second Mavic 2 Pro that doesn't have this little stutter going on with the gimbal as we're working around a location. I don't know if it's due to me flying it a little too fast. This is I think 8.7 miles an hour. And maybe it's such a tight area, but I will be doing a little bit more testing. So like I said, in my workflow, we do some pre-planning beforehand. We do some flight planning in the office, and then we go out and do something like this, flight planning on the location. Now, I don't mind putting in a little extra time because this client is going to be having us fly probably twice a month, and the price we agreed to is reasonable. So if I have to do a little extra work up front in my testing, I'm totally cool with that. So as you can see, it's moving around. When it's staying on a straighter path, that gimbal's not kind of sticking so much. It's when it really gets to some of the cornering that it sticks here and there, and that's what bothers me. So when I'm doing the final versions of this, it will be my other Mavic 2 Pro. Or I can spend a little more time trying to calibrate the gimbal again, but that hasn't really done much for me. So, all right, so there we go. We've got our orbit around. So the Litchi orbit stayed where it needed to, still within our authorization. So I could even have the drone fly a little further out on all sides because that's still in our authorized area. And I might be doing that. But I do think that doing the orbit around it is a possibility for doing our modeling. So we'll be thinking about that there. After that particular video, so that I just wanted to make sure that everything works with the autonomous app, and especially since we're using that unlock code on the Mavic 2 Pro. So that was the testing, and everything succeeded very nicely. The next block of images, for some reason, see the gimbal was looking off. It made a really abrupt turn. We can actually see one of the legs here. So that was odd. But from that point, what I did is I reset my Litchi mission, and I took it from video and I turned it over to stills. And then in the Litchi settings, I told it, hey, take a photo every 20 feet for me. So that's exactly what we did here. We're just going to select a bunch of them, but not all of them, just to give you a feel once again. So let's go to that open with preview once more, and look at that. Preview didn't do it again. That is so weird. So there we go. All right, so I told Litchi to take a photo every 20 feet. So there's a couple of the photos. Now we should have a big long line of them, so that's great. So every 20 feet as it's following along the path, it is adjusting itself to look at that point of interest that I had set up. That was at 20 feet. You can also see me in the image right over here too, because, I was wanting to keep my line of sight on it as well. So we can go ahead and close that one. So that gives you an idea. So in total, having the drone follow that waypoint path, let's keep scrolling here. And there we go. So 51 images going around that path. Now, if this doesn't work good for the ortho model, that's okay, because I'm considering using Map Pilot Pro, and that's going to be our test on Sunday. We've got a couple other things in here for assembling yesterday's video where I talked about 0 feet above ground level. So that's what these other items are in his folder. Normally, I would have a folder with a subfolder that's orthos, then video, then stills. That's part of my workflow. Once again, if you haven't checked out our new workflow class, up in the upper right, there's an info button, so you can check out the workflow class. You can also check out our new class bundle as well. So if you're interested in how we do these setups, how we do our flights, I'd say both of those classes are great starting locations for you. So now I'm just going to go back and take a look. So I've got some images that I can share with the client. And, even the images from my orbit around my point of interest, let's just go ahead and open that guy up. We've got some decent photos in here as well that we can pass along to the client. So, I'm going to go through, take a look at these, and maybe I'll add some of these in. Now, one of the first things that I do want to do with this, because the property owner said, hey, if you can give me some interesting video, he'd really like to take a look at it. So I'm going to break up these videos here. So this is, part of my getting back to the office. This is it. I go through the images. Normally, I will move all the JPEGs over to Lightroom, But once again, this was just testing, so this isn't an official flight. So, I can be a little messier with this part because I can just say, set up, flight prep. So there we go. All right, what I'm gonna do here, so one of my next steps when we get collected data is we run down to Final Cut Pro. And this is where I'll start assembling some of that. We're gonna make a little video for the client here, and we'll be putting it up on the See My Build afterward. So like I said, I'm kind of treating this like a live stream. So we're not going back and editing anything else. And so I've moved some file folders around this morning. So now I can't find some of the things, and that's perfectly fine. I can find those clips later. Let's close all these things. So I want to use my 2022 Final Cut library here. And we're going to call this one, whoops. Let's just go ahead and make a new event. And so this new event is, let's see, flight planning. Ironstone. And got everything set up where I want it. Yes, I do. So I'm going to say OK to this. And now over in, let me see here. We need to find our flight planning video, or did that put it? Oh, goodness. Did I put it in the wrong folder? I might put it in the wrong folder. So let's see. Yep, there it is right there. So 4/14/2022. And let's make sure, yeah, that's today. All right, so I meant to put that one into my other library. So I'm just copying the label. And I'm going to go ahead and move that event to trash. Yep. So I told it OK on that. And now let's highlight the right one. So this is the correct library now. So now we can do the event. And let's put that name in there. Say OK to it. And now we should find it. There it is right there. And I'm going to change the untitled project name. There we go. So now we have my workspace that I'm going to be using for not Lightroom, Final Cut Pro. And let's grab just the video number 1 first, and we're just going to drag it right into the timeline here. So let's take a look at this video. So flying back from the P-vine, let's bring it back out. We're going to stop it right there. So that's where the P-vine trail is, because the owner was also interested in the proximity to the P-vine trail. So for our first video, we've got it coming backwards here. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with this. I like it. And this should be just an interesting show and tell for the client, before we get into the real flights here. So we always do end up doing a little additional upfront work, I'll say. Because I really do like to be accurate with what we're flying for the clients afterward. All right, so let's say right here, it's finishing out its flight, and we're gonna stop that right about there. I'm clicking the B button, and that is for my blade tool, and because we're gonna cut this little part out of here. I don't like that abrupt turn or anything, so there we go. Now we've got getting it all lined up. And once I have it all lined up, all right, right there, let's go ahead and take that blade tool again, and we're gonna delete that. So there we go. So now let's take a look. So literally, this is what you'll find me in the studio doing most any day, especially if you've done a flight for a client. And so this is all part of, getting your workflow together, streamlining how you're doing these things, doing the most efficient flights you can possible for clients who want multiple flights of a job site. And like I said earlier, I don't mind doing a little extra upfront work at all. So, all right, there we go. Maybe it gets up to here, and now it's backing away just a touch. I'm going to clip that right there. I'm going to let it finish its backing away. And right there, let's go ahead and cut that. There we go. So now we're flying. Basically, we are on the southern border of the property right now. So the drone's above that border. So we're getting a look out not only at the client's property, but also the property right to the north of it. All right, there we go. And there are there's the drone pilot, and there is the visual observer as well. So I think right about here, we'll cut that one in. There we go. And I don't think we need the landing of the drone or anything here, so we can go ahead and delete this one too. So that was video number 1, where I was using DJI's Go 4 app. So I was doing this a little manually here. And now the second video is where we're using Litchi. So we brought the drone back, we landed the drone, we turned off the Go 4 app, we moved over to the Litchi app, and we went into our waypoint selector, our waypoint menu selector, and picked the ironstone one that we had there. So now when we drag this one into here, there we go. Cancel, I dragged it too far. So let's do that again. So we're just going to drag this in. Also, oftentimes I would be doing some additional work up front with Kino, utilizing Kino to pick out my clips, but we're just dragging these straight in. So there we go. There's that rough turn. Now that the rough turn is done, let's go ahead and grab the blade tool again. We're going to get rid of that. And so now let's just take a look. I didn't like the end of that, but right there. Let's zoom this in here. I'm going to grab that blade tool again. There we go. All right. So now I've zoomed myself back out just a little bit. So there's where the drone stops there, and now we're resuming over here. Great view of Granite Mountain. And we're seeing that little bit of jerking here and there. Really, I'm not a fan of that. And so one of the things that I'm going to do in just a moment, let's actually go through this. And we don't have to use the whole thing. So once again, you know, shooting toward the east, you're shooting toward the sun. I do like the west view a lot better, and that's also the view that the client's going to get. But the one other thing I'm going to do here right now, I'm going to highlight this. And up on my tools up top on Final Cut, I'm going to do a stabilization and a rolling shutter correction. This is going to take a few moments. It's rendering now. And if we look up here, control button, there's my little rendering circle right here on my Mac Mini M1. So it's pretty quickly doing this for me. I'm just going to let it go. So sometimes I'll sit here for a minute or two. And while I'm sitting here, the Mac Mini has been fantastic. I've had it for over a year now. It does render most of my videos much faster than the 2017 iMac I've got over here. But I am wondering about the new Mac Studios. So if anyone ever wants to send a gift my way, no, I'm just kidding. But no, I was thinking the lowest end of the new Mac Studios that they have out, the $2,000 one, that one's got my attention. So as you can see, we're still rendering a little more. So this is also part of the reality of this, is sometimes I'm waiting for video to complete, you know, or edits and updates to complete. So I just opened up the background tasks just to see where we're at here. So we're at 41% transcoding and analysis. See, this is where I should have used Kino to created subclips, but instead I was being lazy and just dragging these in. But yeah, next go around will be Kino for sure. And if you don't know what Kino is, it's a fantastic video management platform. And let me see down here as we're waiting on this. So Kino I use to manage most of my video. There's the Kino application button right there. But we can also make subclips with it. We can change our codecs. So it's very valuable if you're going to get into the video editing and video creation side of the house for the jobs that you're doing. You might want to check out Kino. It's available for Mac and Windows, by the way. And I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything, so don't think I am. I'm just going to close that background tasks. It's still chugging along. So this is the part you usually don't see with creator videos, is, you know, what goes into actually building it. And sometimes it's us sitting around waiting on applications to finish what they're doing. I'm going to go down to my bottom bar here and just check, you know, is there anything that I can really close up here? Not really. So we'll just let it run. I've seen the video testing with those new M1 Studios, and I know that I'd probably be completely done with this right now. if I was using that. Still, the Mac Mini is a very fast video editor for what it is, and especially for the price. Something that you can get for 700 bucks. That also runs two of my mapping and modeling applications in QGIS, other video tools, Photoshop, and Lightroom. I've been very impressed with this crazy little machine. So we're just about there, and it's analyzing the dominant motion right now since I clicked off that stabilization and rolling shutter. So that's why it's taking a little longer. Like I said, it's been very specific to one of my drones, and my other Mavic 2 Pro. There's a little jitter here and there, especially when I'm trying to go a little faster, but nothing on the order of what I'm seeing here. So reminder to self, use the first drone just for testing purposes, and then use the second drone for actual publication stuff. So let's come back here now. So it's all done with that. And, let me see here. How long is this? Change duration. Whoops. So 1 minute. Let me double check that. Change duration on this. Yes, 1 minute and 35 seconds. So I'm pretty satisfied that it took that long to do that. So definitely less jitter. I'm already seeing the difference in that. I'm feeling a lot better about it. That's not annoying me. So maybe I'm just being a little too nitpicky. That's looking pretty good to me. The one other thing that I'd like to do in here with all of these, so by the way, I could do color correction in here, but we're not going to do that with this one right now. We're going with what's come out of the camera. When we get into the real presentations, when we get into the real flights, then yeah, we'll be doing some color adjustments there. And speaking of color adjustments, I use another application called Color Finale Pro, which does really good for color grading work. So there's just another app. We've got so many different plugins and apps on our Final Cut. So I'm just looking through this right now, and normally if I'm by myself, I'll probably speed up through this. But I just figured I'd give you the feel for this as well. So this is looking decent to me. The flight path for doing the video, I'm satisfied with. We might move some things around. We might decide to change the point of interest that we're aiming at. So these are a couple things that I'm going to be thinking through as I'm checking this out. And then Sunday's next test flight, we're going to be trying this out again with Litchi and experimenting with a couple of more items. Like I said, I do a little extra upfront for clients, and you know what? It always impresses them and makes them happy that we're willing to do a little extra for them. And happy clients are clients that refer me to other people. So there you go. Keep that one in mind. Now, so I've got an overall beginning here, some ideas for, doing a quick video for the client. And what I need to do now, I probably need to put a bumper in here. So we can do a cute little video for, call this 5814 Ironstone, Prescott, Arizona. So let's go back over to the front here. And in Final Cut, I'm going to go down to all of my text tools. So I've got a lot of different tools in here. Black Friday is an awesome thing. So last year on Black Friday, I downloaded a huge bundle of titles and other tools from one of many plugin developers for Final Cut. What a bargain. So I was very happy with what I came away with. So let's see, left to right. What do we want here? That's cinematic drifting, cinematic tracking. I like clean line titles a lot. So let's just drag that tool right in here. There's our title tool. And 5184 Ironstone. And let's just... All right, so we've got our little opening screen. Of course, I have other screens that you've probably seen here, but since I'm putting this together for the client, I'll go ahead and show you something else too. All right, so I am in Final Cut, and I am just clicking on another one of my videos. I got to go through and clean some of these videos. So I'm just borrowing from another video. I'm borrowing the front end that you usually see here. So I'm just grabbing this, Control C. So I just copied this, and now we're going to go back down to the new video. And in front of that, I'm just dragging my cursor. And now what you can see here, we're not going to use this one for this. We're going to keep it simple for the client. But now you can see there's that front intro that you're always seeing in my videos, right? So right in here. So I just copy and paste it from video to video. I could save these in a more complex way as well, but this goes nice and quick for me. So I just wanted to share that part with you because you've probably seen that intro. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and remove that one. And so, we've got, what is this? 2-minute and 30-second long video. Honestly, this one's going a little slow for me. So let's take a look at that. We're coming in here. So by the way, I'm going to bring the skimmer back across here, and I'm just going to hit the play on it, and I'm going to double the speed. So there we go. Much quicker flight across there. So I might want to double the speed of that one. Maybe this one as well. And actually, it's going a little fast for my taste. So maybe the front end here, we go ahead and we keep the speed where it's at. But then this one, that little orbit, let's see how bad I break things if I make this twice as fast. All right, because we don't need to be sending them a super long video here. And once again, it's actually doing some rendering work for us. All right, that is okay. That's not horrible. It's not doing that jitter as bad. And so this is by the way, if you ever talk to a client and they want to know everything you're doing behind the scenes, go ahead and send them this link. Then they'll get an idea that there's a lot more off camera that's going on than what we're collecting on camera. So you see that jitter in there on this one, but it's also still rendering this for me. So let's come back to here. We've got that nice corner right to there. And I'm going to grab the blade tool. And so we don't need to torture the client with an extra long video right now. And there's where that was really bothering me with the little jitter going on. But I think right about here, let's go ahead. And so now we have a video that's 1 minute and 30 seconds. I forgot one other thing on here, which is April 13th setup line, just so they've got a title to go with that as well, and so they know what's going on here. Oh, I had a little spacer right there. By the way, let's see how long this particular title is. Change duration, and let's just make that 6 seconds even. All right, so that should be enough. Now, the next thing, I'm going to actually copy that and paste it because this isn't a high-end video right now. This was us doing some preliminary testing, and then we get to share some of this with the customer. So that's looking good to me. We've got 1 minute and 40 seconds. Normally, what I would also do, let's go ahead and open up Chrome, and let's go to soundstripe.com. All right, sign in on Soundstripe. And my media. And so what I've already downloaded, because there's a couple of ones that we like to use. So in the case of this one, let's go ahead and use Freckles again. Let's download that, and let's 5184 Ironstone project, and let's go ahead and download that. Every time I reuse an audio file on Soundstripe, I do need to give it a new project title. So Soundstripe does a really good job of making sure that you don't get in trouble for using copyright material. All the audio files in here are royalty free, so I can use them at will, and I'm signed up with their service. But so the same, when I use the same song over and over again, I still have to let them know, do another download with it. It's a bit of a pain of a process, but what are you going to do? So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this now, and we're going to go into our downloads folder. And in the downloads folder, there's that audio file. So let's bring that right on in here. And let me just, so I can hear it off screen in my earphones that are sitting on the desk here. All right, so the audio is looking good. And I'll probably play around with this just a little more. So let's bring that in here. And let's also have that audio fade away. So this isn't a full class. If I'm moving too quickly for you, I do apologize. This isn't a class on just using Final Cut or anything. This is just me walking through, an initial setup, a short, simple presentation for a customer that we'll be doing some official flights for in the very near future. So all part of my flight planning. Um, you don't have to go this far. But like I said, the more you do with clients and the more unique offerings you give them, the more that they're going to remember you, refer you, and totally recommend you. So when I do little things like this for customers, I always get nothing but positive feedback on it. So this one is basically just about ready for me to start getting the See My Build ready. We could, I could have dropped some still photos in here as well, but I decided not to for the moment. I'm also thinking I don't want to kill you guys here, so we're gonna cut this one off and we'll come back to this one and we'll walk through the rest of the assembly of the presentation page for the client. So I'm gonna take a break for a few minutes, have some water, that kind of stuff, and we'll come back and we'll make a part 2 of this one for you. All right, so hopefully that sounds good. Please let me know in the comments down below if a video, this style of video is appealing to you and informative for you. And I'll take any questions and comments that you've got to give. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you found this enjoyable, getting to see behind the scenes. Then be sure to like and subscribe. Finally, do check down in the show notes below our latest classes, or in the information button in the upper right-hand corner of this screen. We do have links to our full workflow class, and we have links to our 13 course bundle now. Plus, you can also check out all of the courses individually as well if you'd like to. All right, everybody, we'll be back in a little bit. We're going to do this on the same day for sure because I do want to wrap up creating this presentation for the client. So I think one of the things that I'm going to do off screen, I'm just going to go through and tweak this video ever so slightly and then get it ready just for a quick share for the customer as well. I was thinking about putting in some motion text, but we'll save that for one of the real flights when this is going to be into our tracking and progression work. All right, everyone, we'll see you again in just a couple minutes my time. Maybe you'll pick this second video up tomorrow or something. We'll see you again real soon. So hey there, everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of my flight planning for 5184 Ironstone. So in the last video, I said I'm going to take you through all this. And number one, let's go ahead and minimize OBS. One of the things I realized while we were working on the video at the end of the last one, it was transcoding a little slow, but then I totally forgot I'm running OBS here, so I'm recording myself as well. And we're running other applications and things as well. So yeah, that's probably why it slowed down a bit. I'm going to go to the Final Cut here. So where we had left off was me just doing a little more edit to this. And it's looking all right to me now. It's looking all right enough that um, I actually exported it. So let's see here, this one right here. This is Flight Planning Ironstone M4V. So let's go ahead and double click this. And if we play it, you'll recognize, 5184 Ironstone, and then it gets into the video. So that video is all set. Once again, this is a demo. This is not my standard workflow. This is just a small chunk of the workflow where I'm doing some flight planning and giving some extras to the customer as well. So the next thing that I need to do, because I do want to put this up for presentation, I'm going to go ahead and close down Final Cut Pro. So one less thing running in the background. And you'll notice that I have my Dropbox folder pulled up. So I'm going to create a new folder. And this is 5184 Ironstone. So we're going to be putting this project in here. And this is light setup April 13th. So I'm going to have this accessible to me for the moment. I can change that later. But so let's go ahead and get this 5184. And so this shouldn't be too painful. It's not a big video, but we're going to go ahead. Oh, actually in here, I had wanted to create a folder, video, or actually let's call it iron. I can type today, stone video. And let's go ahead and do that. So there we go. Ironstone video is there. Let's go ahead and upload this now. So this is just going to take a moment. It says 47 seconds left, so I'll be patient. And yeah, there we go. Once again, part of this job is waiting on things to upload, waiting on things to transcode, waiting for 3D models to render. So some of our time is spent waiting, which is why, you know, running a faster system would be a great idea. So like I've said before, in my case, I think I really want to get my hands on that new Mac Studio with the, it has additional cores, GPUs, and of course it comes with 32 gigs of RAM. I'd love to set one up with 64 gigs of RAM. I think it'd be a great modeling box, just, you know, the total package for the work that I do. All right, so there we go. It's just about done. Yep, there we go. We're good. And I'm going to close that. And let's go back up to the Ironstone setup. Let's create another new folder. And let's call it Ironstone Stills. So we're just going to make that one there. And there we go. We got the Ironstone Stills now. So I'm just going to go in here once again, because this is just for my flight planning more than anything else, and just to kind of send a bit of a teaser to the client. I'm not editing these images right now, so when we do the first official flight, yeah, we'll be editing. And let's just, I'm just picking the JPEGs only. We don't need all the DNGs. And so let's just go through here, because we can take some out afterward if we feel like we need to. So that one, and then we've got our MP4s for the video. So I'm just going to drag this on over to Dropbox as well. And if you're familiar with this channel, if you've seen me build custom pages for clients before, you know that I've got a really cool tool called Out of the Box for WordPress, where we can actually embed stuff from our Dropbox folders into our website if we're using a WordPress website, for instance. So this is still copying the links. Once again, this is the real world. Here you are. This is what I'm doing a lot of the time after flights for people, is going through and uploading things. Like I said, if you've checked out our workflow class and our overall drone job workflow, this is part of our flight planning. This is an unusual one, and we're taking extra care with it because of proximity to KPRC. And we're also just getting it ready because we know the client would like to see regular updates a couple of times a month. So, you know, getting everything right up front for our flights means less lost time later on for us. So it's almost done there, getting all of those in. And you're going to see in a little bit, you know, the method to my madness. Why am I doing this? Okay, so we can say done to that now. So now we've got our two folders, the stills and the video. So this is kind of similar to our workflow when we're actually presenting things, but normally we shoot our ortho mosaics first, so all the still images for the orthos, then we do video, then we do stills for standard stills or time-lapse progression stills. So this little one is, like I said, a sampler for the client, and then it'll get them thinking about where they want us flying, because most likely they're not going to be out at the job site too often. They live in another state, and so they're following along remotely with their house build. So there you go. All right, I'm going to keep this one up for a moment, but now I'm not going to grab all of the JPEGs that we have that we shot um, for doing an orthomosaic model. That was the intent of these images. We're going to go ahead and leave things as they are for the moment. And what we're going to do instead is I'm going to open a new tab, and we're going to go on over to seemybuild.com. And we're logging into it, and I set up a additional login that will be going away afterward because I don't want people trying to get into my websites. So See My Build is a demo website where we're still building out some templates, but the entire idea of it is that people can watch the progress of their builds from anywhere, whether they're the home buyer, like this particular person, whether it's the construction company, whether it's someone doing speculation houses, whether it's a realtor. We can actually let them have access and see our presentation forms. We don't have to send them over to Dropbox and have them blindly go through things. We can actually assemble something. So I'm going to go down. There we go, pages. And what I need to do is add a new page here. And so this was 5184 Ironstone. And we're just going to go with that for the name for the moment. And so right now I'm in WordPress, by the way, in case you weren't following along. For regulars here, you've seen this probably too many times at this point. But so we utilize WordPress for a lot of our website building and for our web-based presentations for our clients. I'm going to go over here. So you don't need to learn WordPress today, but this is the tool we're using. So I'm going to go down to no container, header and footer. And I could also put a featured image. I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to go ahead and publish this page as is. So what have we done? We just made a blank page. Not too exciting. But I'm going to go over to Pro because we're using Xtheme and Cornerstone for our page builders. And with that in mind, utilizing Xtheme and Cornerstone, we get to do these really cool layouts. So normally I'll utilize the templates I have, but today I'm going to do this one from scratch because we've only got two things here. So my first section I'm going to make into one big column, and I can drop a text box in here. So I'm going to click on this and find myself a text box. And I'm going to drag that onto here. So there we go. Now I'm going to close that, select the text, and let's go ahead and highlight that entire thing here. So 5184 Ironstone, Prescott, Arizona. Yeah, Ironstone test flight, because this is a test flight. So we were testing some things for our final presentations for our final collection. And so with that in mind, this one's just a little extra. So I'm going to go ahead and change that there. Yep. So I could put a nice banner bar in here as well, but we're going to skip that for the moment. And we're just going to focus on getting the main stuff in. I'm going to open up a second tab for myself and go to See My Build. And in See My Build, I'm going to go to the dashboard. So I've got two pages open now, but I'm running down to out of the box, and I need to build shortcode. So our first one is going to be for a video. There we go. Hello, video. And then our content. This is where we get to, there we go, 5184. And I want the Ironstone video. There we go. We've saved that one there. So nothing else in the scroll down for this. I'm going to go to layout and make sure there's nothing I'm missing here. I could make a download button on this, but we're not going to do the download button on this one today. We're going to leave it as is. We're going to send it directly to the client. We could do the download button for him later. This is very, very simple to use this shortcode builder with out of the box. So what we're doing here with out of the box is we're building a shortcode. Let's go ahead and copy that to the clipboard. Let's go back to our page and our text editor. And I'm going to go back to HTML. And I'm just putting in this out of the box here And boom, it has taken the video from my Dropbox account that we just uploaded and it's embedded it in the website. This is awesome. Talk about a time saver and a better way to present things to your customers, right? I'm going to save this page. So down in the left corner, I hit save. And now I'm going to do a preview just to see what's happening here. Look at that. There it is. It's built right into the web page. So I can email the client the see my build /AZ slash 5184 Ironstone. And they can view this right here. And if I turned on the download here, they could download this as well. But we're doing this a little quick for you. And in the end, I'm going to go back through and do a little cleanup as well. So there's our preview. How easy was that to get that in there? I'm pretty blown away. So anyways, I'm back in my editor and I'm going to add a new section. So now we got a new section and I'm going to click in here and I want another text box. So there we go. I've popped in another text box. I'm going to click on it and 5184 ironstone still images. Let's get that there. And let's go ahead and make that a heading too as well. Actually, that heading might be too big. We'll have to wait and see here for a moment. And I'm not going to change that for the moment because, hey, we're live. We're doing this together. And yeah, we are recording. Okay, I just had to double check that. All right, so let's go ahead and close this. So there it is, Ironstone still images. And actually, what I think I'll do next, because I'm being nitpicky here, I need to make below that. There we go. So there we go. That should work. And I'm going to make another text box here. So this might help us space things out a little better. And there's our new text box. I'm going to delete this. So I've got an empty text box. And up on my tabs up above, I'm going to go back to that shortcode builder. I'm going to go back up to general. And let's see, let's make a photo gallery here. And the content is going to be from the Ironstone stills. And then here's all the images that are going to be in that photo gallery. So there we go, photo gallery. And then the content is those images. We're not going to change anything with the layout, I don't think. And we could go under advanced and allow that zipped download. I'm not going to do that for the moment again. When I go clean this up later, I will do that. But I'm going to grab this short code, copy to clipboard, and we're going to pop that back into that text box that I had. All right, let's close that. Let's save it. And now I'm going to preview it again. So there we go, Ironstone test flight, Prescott, Arizona. And then we scroll down here and look at that. 5184 Ironstone still images. So, and once again, this isn't our final stuff. This is not a final product. I'm out doing some flight planning and snapping some photos while I'm at it. But this is looking pretty good to me. So, you know, this is too many photos to send along to the client, but you get the idea. We're just, I wanted to give them some reference points so that they're thinking about where the build's going on because, you know, they want to see this. And fantastic. By the way, there is a download button right up here in the corner. So we're just moving around and I'm probably going to go through and clean some of these out. I didn't need to put this many up here, but you know, the client might have some interest with this as well. It's too bad shooting into the sun on this side that it's so washed out here. We could do more editing as well. But once again, when we're doing these construction progression reports, it's more about the information and the showing the build and the changes in the build than it is, you know, like high-end cleaned up this image right here. We could fake a sky, we could deal with the foreground, we could punch some vibrance up. But usually when we're doing these progression reports, we're all about just accurately relaying what has changed on the site, and maybe not so much about the super high-end photos. So that's, that's something up to you. How much editing do you want to do? And what's your customer asking you for? But what's really cool here is we just built a presentation web page in how many minutes together? Oh, okay. So I would probably want to go back in here and put a banner bar after, which I will probably do. But I don't need to right at this moment. But we could put a still image in here like we do with some of our other stuff on See My Build. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. We'll go over to Sky Ranch really quick. And when you come into Sky Ranch, the first thing you see is this, hey, that's a really slick presentation there. And then they get into everything else. So I could put a nice little banner onto that page too. But so in the course of a few minutes, we've got a page layout that a client could share around to let other people watch the video and check out the stills. So as you get into this and as you get more comfortable with this, maybe you do want to do your own custom web pages. And you don't just have to use WordPress, okay? There's so many different page builders out there. So that's one's going to be up to you. But basically, I've wrapped up. I've now gotten a nice presentation for the customer. And like I said, I'm going to go fix this just a little bit more. I could have used some of the other images that we captured as well. And, maybe I will go back through there and change some things around, pick some better photos, and lose some photos from that slideshow. But easy enough. I just drop those back in the Dropbox, and then I can put new things in the Dropbox, and we're good to go. One of the other things we'll be doing with this project most likely is we're going to be doing a couple of 360s as well for them. But so there we go. So the biggest, heaviest lifting thing was playing around with the video. Also just checking through our images as well. And in the end, I'll do some cleanup, and then you can check by See My Build as well when I put the link up, and you can take a look at the little bit of extras that we've done. So that last video was 43 minutes, and I'm trying to think how much more, or if we should break it up, or if we should just put these together. I'm starting to think maybe we'll just put these together into one video. So you'll know it when you watch this, whether it's 40 something minutes or over an hour long. All right, I'm going to close down the See My Build site. Is there anything else that I can show you from today? So close my downloads folder as well. But yeah, so there we go. Much smaller than our normal progression because this wasn't the full progression. This was just some additional flight planning and some initial images and video to share with the client. So then we can settle on, the final mix of what we want. If he does want the orthomosaic, then we're probably going to break out Map Pilot Pro. We're going to be flying it at like 80 feet above ground level, and it's probably going to burn through an entire battery for that one. Then we would utilize Litchi for the standard stills and standard video and time-lapse video, and then we'd be putting all these things together. So in the end, this particular project is most likely going to see a before and after orthomosaic model, potentially a 3D model, video flight for time-lapsing and just for standalone video, still images for time-lapsing and for just still images as well. So, all right, I'm going to wrap this one up. I think I will include the two different videos together since this one is a good bit shorter. All right, everyone, I hope that this gives you some insights into some of my flight planning work and some of the prep work that we do before we go out for client job sites, and even doing the little extras for them as well before they even start breaking ground. As always, I really appreciate, yeah, I can talk today. As always, I appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out for a good while today, at least on this one. And we will see you again really soon on channel.